Hey, what is up, all my lonely watchers out there? Over the past year, I've been making my way through Nuzlocke's of the Yokai Watch games. And after Yokai Watch 3, what else was there to do? Well, the answer is simple. Yokai Watch 4. This game is at a weird spot. A lot of people know about it in the community, but very few have actually played it due to the fact the game never left Japan. And Yokai Watch 4 just so happens to be my favorite entry in the series. That, combined with its uniqueness from the other entries due to being released on the Nintendo Switch, would certainly make this run quite the challenge. It was also the first time I played the game in English, as the English translation mod was not complete when I first played the game. We saved the yokai in human worlds, we saved BBQ, and we even saved the past. But now, it's time to save the future. Hi, I'm Jamie, aka LonelyFubuki, and this is the tale of my attempt at a Yokai Watch 4 Nuzlocke. The Nuzlocke rules for this game had to be completely altered in comparison to the last 3 games because of how the befriending system works. In this game, favorite foods are not used to befriend yokai, and yokai can't even be directly befriended in battle. Instead, you have a small chance to steal a yokai's soul after they've been defeated. There are 3 types of souls: gray, red, and gold. Once you've collected enough of each soul for a specific yokai, which can vary, as well as any necessary items, you can craft a copy of said yokai. They also removed evolutions from this game, so you're stuck with your yokai's rank, stats, and skills. This system would make it incredibly hard to judge what a befriend per area even means. Luckily, the story gives you a ton of auto-befriends, so I decided only story-required yokai may be used, with any other yokai being prohibited. Another feature of this game is that you can play as the yokai watchers themselves in addition to yokai in a real-time battle system. Since you need the watchers to progress, I decided to make them immortal for this run. However, they cannot be revived by medicine. Once they die, they cannot be used for the rest of the battle, but they may be used for subsequent battles. Got it? Okay, let's break down the rules. Number 1. If a yokai dies, their arc must be dropped if possible and cannot be used for the rest of the run. Number 2. I must nickname every yokai, either by me or chat. Number 3. Watchers are not treated like yokai. They do not need to be nicknamed, and they can be used after they faint. However, they still cannot be revived during battle. Number 4. I may only use story auto-befriends and yokai required for story progression. Number 5, I may use healing items during battle. Number 6, no passwords, NFC trading, crankakai, or pura blasters, as well as any other in-game collaboration with other players. Number 7, soft resetting is prohibited. And number 8, if my team of yokai is fully wiped besides the watcher under any circumstances, then the run is officially dead and I must start over. Since this is my second attempt, a lot of yokai already had legacy nicknames. Thanks to Hapith for coming up with a majority of them. We would even joke that any of the yokai who died without one of his names was missing out on his protection powers. With that out of the way, let's jump into the game.
Saga, 無駄なことをこの時を待っていたあらゆる世界あらゆる妖怪が私の思うがまま妖魔界の王ですらもはや敵ではない
The game starts off by sending us to Everymart to get Mom's groceries, unceremoniously giving us our first befriend, Jibanyan. His name will always be Skidmark. Welcome back from the dead, little guy. This leads us to our first encounter with Hungramps, and I know just who to call.
俺の友達出てこいジバニャン妖怪メダル プリッチ召喚プリッチ友達ブックワウチ
Aww.
But that's not it for our daily adventures because Katie is in town. Why wouldn't she be, though? She lives here. Regardless, Nate's simpery is met with mimicry. Mimicking doesn't stand a chance. Although to be fair, neither does Nate at this rate. Whisper, in a fit of usefulness, informs us of a new yokai watch being a prize in the Mount Wildwood Crankakai, which leads us to our friend Hydabat, aka Bruce. Welcome aboard. After showing up to the Crankakai, a team of Bakus seem to not be playing fair, so let them face our wrath. They all go down immediately, and Hunkshu the Baku decided to join our team. After finally getting to the Crankakai, this weird key pops out and spawns one of the best NPC yokai in the series, Navi Wolf. He leads us to a door, and... that doesn't look like Hungramps. He goes down without a fight, though. That begs the question, though. Where exactly does this door lead?
私なんか嫌な予感がするんですけど。わかってるにゃんね。せーので振り向くがいいよ。ちょっと行くよ。せーの。
What a time to see a familiar face. He is a lot stronger than normal, though. If only we had some backup.
Care about the marks.
After this, the fight is pretty straightforward. You can stun Slimeamander if you use the watch to drain one of his eyes when slime starts to pour out of it, but that wasn't necessary. And with that, our first boss is down. After the battle, we get to learn how these are the yokai detectives. And Nate's daughter from the future? That brings us to the end of Chapter 1, and to the beginning of the Yokai Detective team's backstory. After taking out Oni King Rasen, the gang of Summer, Bruno, and Cole set out to solve yokai mysteries in the community. This yet again gives us 3 new yokai unceremoniously. The future versions of Jibanyan, Komasan, and Slimeamander, nicknamed Skidmaster, Dumpling, and Milady respectively. And yes, future yokai are different from their present-day counterparts. After some shenanigans at the Crankakai, it's time to band together in order to solve some mysteries called bizarre cases. First, solving the case of the Ghost Cycle, which gives us a Charlie who we name Bicon. Because, look, I'm sure his tires aren't the only things about him that go both ways. This gives the team access to bicycles, which is really early for Yokai Watch, but it'll make the rest of the game much easier and faster. But still not after Nate asks for every type of ice cream from the store. Classic Nate. Next is the Soulmates quest, unlocking the aforementioned befriending system which we can't use. Except this once, where we're forced to craft a Honmagoro Taisho, who's basically useless to us. I named him Albert. I have no idea why, I just did. Lastly is the case of the man-eating plant of Septic Pond. She looks ferocious, but her true form is tiny and adorable. That's why I named her after one of my best friends, Mystic of Mystic Warriors. She makes all the character art you see on the channel, so you should really check her out via the link in the description. All in a day's work. Until a friend of Summer's little brother finds herself in trouble, being followed around by a strange man. Sounds like a job for the yokai detectives. Searching around, we finally find the perpetrator. An anatomical model yokai who pursues a relationship with the girl. Ew. Regardless, the group goes along with it and brings them both to the school so Jinta can confess his feelings before this happens. Time for our first high-stakes boss fight. Hopefully we don't lose anybody. The main gimmick is draining his heart out of his body, which doesn't really do much and isn't enough on its own. Time to call on the power of the sword bearer Akala. Jingeki is slain with no deaths. Still, a mysterious figure descends in an attempt to kill us, being thwarted by the yokai world's ruler, Lord Ananta. He warns us of the dangerous road ahead and the chapter concludes, bringing us back to where we left off. The yokai detectives regroup with Nate in tow and decide to take on some more bizarre cases during the night with the power of Baku. The first one nets us Junior, who becomes our first main ranger in place of Bruce. I name him Skid Mini since he's Jibanyan's son. Well, kinda sorta. It's complicated. The next one nets us a Blazion named Shadow, and while he is a B rank, I decided to save him for now, as our team had a multitude of attackers with upward mobility. The third case lets us beat up a Basher, but he doesn't befriend us in return, unfortunately. Weird. I always thought violence was the quickest path to friendship. After regrouping, we find Summer's little brother Tate fading away, and so will Summer if we don't take Nate back to the past in order to meet his bond connector. I had done a lot up to that point though, so I decided to call it quits and save the rest of Chapter 3 for the next day. No deaths a quarter of the way through! Maybe this really was the run. So, at this point, I took a huge break from streaming due to personal reasons. So part 2 was over a month after part 1. Let's hope this doesn't affect my performance too badly. Now, where were we? Oh yes! Finding Summer's bond connector. We searched Springdale high and low. Bear and Eddie weren't the bond connectors, and neither was Haley. Oh my gosh! Why aren't you playable in this game? Why did you have to lose your watch? Why did level 5 not like you? But anyway, it turned out to be Katie. I wonder what that could mean. Regardless, let's go check up on Tate. He seems to be doing fine, but a mysterious Oni stops us in our tracks and demands the sacred armory of Lord Akala. Cole wards him off with the last of both his and Akala's strength, and with Voidera wielding the Wildfire brand, it's up to us to retrieve the other 3 sacred armory before the Oni clan. After destroying Milady to prove our strength, we're off to our first stop, Sokenzan. Unfortunately, Bruno and Skid Mini fall off a bird taking the group to the top of the mountain, which separates us. All is well though when Bruno uncovers the Yokai Watch Animas, officially becoming a watcher. Well, at least after taking down this hog. Thankfully, he decides to join us after battle. Welcome aboard, Bacon Bit. The next boss fight would be tough with just the 3 of us, so I decided to do some grinding. This unfortunately resulted in the death of Skid Mini. Rest in peace. This was bound to happen to an E rank eventually. Now, at this point in the game, I can't drop or add any yokai from the team. To avoid a soft lock, I just use Skid Mini up until the game allows me to remove him next chapter. At least that gives us more help for the next boss. After we do enough grinding, it's time to take on our first celestial boss, Kieran. This boss is easier than I remembered, with his drain window being extremely generous and Bacon Bit being a really good tank at this point in the game. After him though, it's time to go save our friends.
あれは仲間のピンチに颯爽登場妖怪探偵団団長剣山へへ
The fight against Sword Bearer Suzaku is much harder, but still nothing to sweat over. But with him slain, we're on to Chapter 4, where we find ourselves trapped in a very familiar snowy area. We replace Skid Mini with Bacon Bit on the team and start asking around for intel on the current location. The crew end up meeting a boy named Jack and his friends Itsuki and Tae, who can all see yokai. Together, we solve some rumors around town in order to help drive the yokai out of Itsuki's mansion. How does this kid have a mansion? I'm not entirely sure, and we never really see his parents. First in line for investigation is the mischievous ghoul Gusto, who we name Skidmail. Like Sigma Male, but also Skidmark. He's also, literally, a beast later on. Trust me. He was followed up by a Nomi named Twink Ari, if you know you know, and a Kappa by the riverbed we name Folgers, for his business mentality and attire. Twink Ari replaces Missy, and Skidmail replaces Bicon. And now we finally have the resources to vanquish Yamamba in Itsuki's mansion. Creeping around the mansion is tough, while also trying to find the yokai watch inside. But eventually, both Whispers are caught and snagged by Yamamba, forcing us into a battle. And yet another boss with no problems. I wonder how long we can keep up this trend. This finally lets us return to the present, entering Chapter 5. Haley begs us to help out Usapion, since she no longer can without her yokai watch. Following her, it seems Usapion has been cornered by future yokai? Yeah, it turns out the world door is still open and cannot be closed, leeching yokai between the timelines. Looks like we'll have to force them back ourselves. Starting with the Mira pose. Unfortunately though, Milady dies while fighting the Mirapo army. Rest in peace. It's a shame to lose him too, because Milady's ultimate was killer, being able to turn all enemies into stone for a limited time, making it great for recovery. Goopy rejoins the team, but he doesn't fill the void left by Milady. I replaced him with Folgers and moved on. Taming Blazaria's fan club and tracking down Frog Jiro were much easier in comparison. Koma-san joins us afterwards as a thanks for the help. Welcome back, Bumpkin. The Oni are really getting serious now, kidnapping Haley under the assumption she's the Oni princess. The Oni clan are tracking down the sacred armory for that very reason, it seems. To awaken the Oni princess who has seemingly been reincarnated into a human. Don't worry though, we'll stop whatever that is. Guess we'll need all the help we can get. So, Katie? Yeah, this is really how they canonize Watcher Katie. Skid Mini, who should be deceased, drags Katie to the Grankakai and forces a watch on her. It's really weird that they shoved Katie into the story this way but didn't make Haley playable. Either way, I can't complain, since Katie's probably one of the best healers in the entire game. Which is even better due to the fact that she's immortal in this challenge. After some grinding, we made it up to the corrupt beast, ready for battle. I was unable to figure out how I was supposed to stun him. I'm pretty sure you need to trick him into sucking up these lightning bolt things, but I didn't get it to work, so who knows. This is also how Haley plays a role, dropping item boxes into the battle arena with the yokai drone. This is somehow worse than not being playable at all. The being comes down though, and it turns out to be Fukuro, the shadowy figure who tried to kill us earlier. Ananta takes him back to the yokai world, and Katie becomes a permanent member of the team, ending both Chapter 5 and the day's work. 2 deaths so far isn't that bad, especially considering how Skid Mini would have been replaced soon anyway. And we're already halfway through. This day brings us to Purchase Avenue, looking for something to do. Only to find out they're holding a competition to decide who will be the next princess mascot of Purchase Avenue.
Fire a nickel for every time.
The Oni believe this is how they'll find their princess, so they're here as well. Summer and Katie don't win, but a girl named Ayame does, Bruno's one and only weakness. She ends up tracking down the yokai detectives and asks to join, as she can also see yokai. With her on the team, it's time to take on some bizarre cases. Oh yes, I love random key quests interrupting the story. At least Kyunchi gives a reasonable excuse for Bruno and Nate to be simping so hard. That is until they get rid of her. Then we get our first OK Rangers, Ogu, Togu, and Mogu. We named them Lil Guys, cause just look at them. They're such little guys. Then, of course, the affront to human decency. Hot Pot. We named him Judson because, come on, what else would we call him? And he will be our last resort. At least his quest is kinda heartfelt. Later that night, the detectives get tipped off to a happening at the middle school, so it's time for us to check it out. Upon entering the gym, Ayame appears with the Oni tending to her needs, as they believe she's the princess. After she reveals her true self as Lady Arachnia and captures Voidera's boss Shuten Doji, we have to temporarily work together in order to obtain the one sacred armory that can cut through her spider webs, the Regulation Axe. This weapon rests in Hokendan once all of the floors have been ascended, leading to a battle with the mighty axe wielder Genbu, who we just breeze right through. And with that, it brings us on to the fight with Lady Arachnia, who was one of my favorite boss fights and boss designs in the entire game, maybe even the entire series. You're dodging these webs in the gym while also trying to free these people with the watch drain for different effects in battle. It's just so cool. Unfortunately, we come too late to save Ayame's soul. Wait, what? What kind of power is Summer holding? Either way, we'll find out in Chapter 7. Summer can't stop having dreams about the Black Sun. Maybe Bruno's grandma will be able to help. Unfortunately though, after checking through all the Arihoshi family scrolls, she can only come up with one that mentions the Black Sun, which had been burned long ago, rendering it illegible. Tei happens to be in the same Arihoshi family as Bruno and Grandma though, so maybe she can give us some info from a time before the scrolls burned. Right as we get there, however, Tei's soul is taken by Tamamo, an evil yokai who also stole the souls of Itsuki's sister and Jack's mother for an unknown purpose. She flees to the yokai world. But how do we get there? Oh great, Shuten Doji and Voidera come back to cause us more problems, only to end up handing over the key to the yokai world to us. Not entirely sure why, but there's no time to ask. Tei and the others need us. And so it's off to the yokai world. Upon arrival, Hovernyacht agrees to help us in search for Tamamo, opening up some new quests in order to search for intel. Eventually we catch up with Tamamo as she flees, but there's no escaping us this time. Jack is able to work up the courage to fight and she goes down with no problems at all, only to give up Tei's soul and flee once more. With both Jack and a Susan named Wojcicki in tow, the chapter is over and so is the day. It felt really good to add no deaths to the counter, especially considering at this point last attempt, we had 6 deaths. We just gotta keep up this pace and we'll be in good shape. While Lord Ananta tries to work out where the legends are heading with Fukun and Raichan, our heroes take on some more bizarre cases. The first of which giving us Azure Dragon, our very first A rank of the run. His name? Gatorade. Next is the fight against a rabid Komajiro who unfortunately kills Skidmaster, continuing our tradition of Jibanyan dying in every Nuzlocke. At least it was a different Jibanyan this time. He's replaced with Gatorade and Komajiro joins our team as a backup. If this little guy doesn't scream Tism, then I don't know what does. Then, to cap it all off, another fight against Jingeki. All these yokai claim to have been affected by the Black Sun. Which, hey, maybe Tei finally dug up the scrolls on this. Let's go check. Turns out she has, and it hints at the revival of the Overseer, which the crew agree to investigate the next day. Summer, however, is interrupted during the night, and in the middle of a standoff with Shuten Doji, her powers awaken. This prompts Shuten to become Summer's protector until her powers fully awaken, leading him to have to slay Voidera as he's stricken with the Soranaki virus, a gloom affecting yokai in the area. Shuten Doji decides to join the team, and we name him God's Sake, a play on the phrase for God's sake, and sake, a type of Japanese alcoholic beverage, referencing Shuten Doji as a drunkard. He's also our first S rank of the run. If we're gonna stop this madness, we need to awaken the princess by retrieving the 5th sacred armory, Tiger's Talon. This whole section was a lot of grinding while also trying to avoid the tiger Byakko who roamed the forest, so I'll spare you the details. What matters is the battle against the final sword bearer, Byakko. It was not only a piece of cake, but it reawakened Akkala as Lil Akkala. While he may not be a powerful sword bearer right now, we're still closer to reviving him than we've ever been. Taking all the blades up to Silkenzan, though, ends in disaster, as the Overseer had planned this all along. The Sacred Armory were not required to awaken the princess. They were required to awaken the Overseer. The only way to stop him now would be to go back in time to the Enma tournament of many years ago and stop him from being released, which we take on next chapter. Lil Akkala decided to join us, and I name him Rainy, an homage to an avid viewer of my first attempt, Rainy Raisin. He replaces Skidmail because of course he does. He's a free S rank. Speaking of ranks, the A rank quest. Now at this point I had hardly mentioned the watch upgrade quests in this video. This is mainly due to the fact that they don't matter. Most of them are fetch quests and you rarely fight yokai in the overworld, just the ones in dungeons. They were all uneventful up until this very moment, as during a fight with Basher required for the quest, Dumpling was one shot. This game truly is the most up in the air in the series when it comes to Nuzlocks. Everything goes so much faster, and yokai can die just like that. We still make it through, though, with an A rank watch and our main yokai healer gone. Rest in peace. Enma finally lets us in the Enma tournament by the plea of saving the world and our family, to which the fight starts tomorrow. While resting up that night, Shuten Doji lets us fight against the last sword bearer before the tournament, Ashura. He goes down with no problem, and we're finally ready to fight. We cruise through all the rounds of the tournament before coming to the finals against Sheen, the son of Enma, claiming souls in order to drain their power and take over the yokai world. Regardless of our efforts though, the Black Sun is summoned, forcing us into a fight. Unfortunately, both Tism and Rainy die at his hands, or tentacles, leaving us with just a team of 4. And since Itsuki was literally dead the whole time, he enters the Overseer in order to save Sheen and fuse with him to become Yasha Enma, gaining enough power to fend off the Overseer for now. Itsuki then assumes the role of Lord Enma, and I wish I could show you the heartfelt cutscene between him and Jack that plays out to close the chapter, but my screen froze and I couldn't fix it. Sorry guys. And that's another day done. And while I'm still disappointed with my death today, it's not like we needed to last much longer. We still have enough resources for the final chapter, but that would be best left for another day, don't you think? The day is come for the Overseer to meet his end. He's wreaking havoc over the yokai world, and it's up to us to stop him. But first, we must fully realize our potential and acquire the power to destroy evil. I decided to do Katie's quest first, since it gives us another S rank we can trade up. Cole's quest would also decidedly be last to ensure our team is fully equipped for the fight against Lord Akkala. Apparently, Katie's special power is swooning. QB, why are you encouraging this? At least Venok vows to join us, the final befriend of the run. I name him after Hapith, as thanks for casting his protection over all other members of the team and supporting me through both attempts. Next is Nate, who really just needs to beat up a few yokai, and I don't know, what kind of challenge is this? This one feels out of place compared to the others. Next is awakening Azure Dragon as a Celestial with Bruno, unlocking his final Celestial Disc. Then Jack has to fully master the power of the hose, which draws out the power of Susan and transforms him into Genshin Susanoo. This also gives Jack an offensive ultimate, which opens him up for use, as his previous ultimate was illegal due to having the effect of reviving allies. Then, at last, the time has come to battle Lord Akkala and awaken his full strength. After a lengthy battle, he goes down, and Toma claims his mastery over all 5 sword bearers. And with that, it's off to the future ruins of Enma Palace to grind grind, grind. This dungeon also holds the magic mirror equipped for Skidmail, allowing him to transform into his god side Neko Basset, which will be crucial later on. And before the showdown, the crew have to work through an infinite hallway. This was the most scary part of last run, as this section put me in a soft lock that had killed everyone I had left. I was nervous and did a lot of backtracking, trying to take down all the guards that would open the door. Eventually though, I found them, granting us access to the next room and a fight against the infected Lord Ananta. He similarly goes down without a challenge. But what about the final boss? A final boss so powerful, he literally broke my streaming software. But while he was doing that, he also took the lives of Gatorade and Bacon Bit. Bacon Bit was our biggest MVP and our only good tank left. I wouldn't let the Overseer go lightly after that. The rest of the fight is very scary, but he is taken down with the power of the Oni Princess. May you never rest a day of your afterlife, you fiend. But of course, that's not the end of it, as the present is still filled with doom and gloom. Folgers and Wojcicki replace Gatorade and Bacon Bit, basically only because of their higher levels compared to the other reserve yokai. I wanted to take some more time to grind, but no. This ends now. I will slay the Overseer as many times as necessary for taking my precious Bacon Bit. And with that, it's off to Mount Wildwood. But first, we have our traditional moment of silence for all those who died up to this point. Rest in peace, Skidmini, Milady, Skidmaster, Dumpling, Tism, Rainy, Gatorade, and Bacon Bit. May your deaths not be in vain. Overseer assumes his final form of Matan Overseer, and I just gotta say, I love everything about this boss. The moves, the design, the music, it all captures that sense of Overseer trying to cling onto his last drop of power. This battle is mainly characterized by these sword slashes you have to try and dodge as they cross the stage, and pulling capsules from the Crankakai so temporary allies can assist you. And no, this is a battle gimmick, so it doesn't break the rules. After a long and stressful battle with a lot of close calls.
Chat. We did it! We did it! What would be the chant for this? Like, in Yokai Watch 2, we had everybody type dun 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 in the chat, and then Yokai Watch 3, we had everybody do bada bing. I don't think there's really a Yokai Watch 4 equivalent. But I don't know, say whatever you want, I don't care. I'm just happy it's over.
Overseer mends his relationship with the reincarnated yokai detectives, and everyone returns to their homeworld, looking up at the same sky. I gotta say, this was my first time experiencing the English story for this game, and it really deepened my appreciation for it. That and my deeper understanding of the mechanics now that I was able to read them. I'd probably say this was my hardest challenge in the saga yet, making me the official Yokai Watch Nuzlocke queen of YouTube. I kid, of course, as Blasters 1 and 2 are giving me the stink eye, but I had a lot of fun getting up to this point. After a year of Nuzlocks, all the mainline games are finally done. I'd like to thank a few people here. First, Rainy Raisin and Hapith, who were big supporters of this Nuzlocke in particular. So I would like to thank them for their special place in it. I'd also like to thank the YouTuber Nix Level for letting me steal the name of Skidmark for Jibanyan. Thanks to Luna, my trustworthy mod, for helping keeping the stream chat safe. Mystic Warriors for supporting me even when dodging spoilers. And of course, all the viewers. Whether you were there since my first Nuzlocke's first part, or this is the first video of mine you've ever seen, thank you so much for making my dreams of being a content creator become reality. Especially for this dopey little series. And with that, I'll see you in the Blasters Nuzlocke. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.